I have a notable question for you to ask yourself as you embark on this year, or if you're listening to this and it's midway through the year, you can also apply it. What are you afraid of? You get to really understand something about someone when you know what their fears are. Very often people talk about fear of failure, and they say to me, Paul, I'm afraid of failing. But when I ask them more than 2 questions deep, and you should always ask people more than 2 questions deep, I find that their fear isn't actually the fear of failure. Their fear is the fear of embarrassment. Sometimes it's their fear of being found out. There are a lot of people who project an ideal image of themselves, and they go through life with this fear of being found out, that people will see that I'm not for real. People will see that I'm not really as good as I've projected myself. And I say to them, the key thing to do is to level with people, to be so self-accepting that you accept yourself, warts and all. And that helps a lot. So a key question for you to ask yourself is, what am I afraid of? Is it a fear of failure? Is it a fear of rejection? The thing about rejection is that rejection has a number. There's a brilliant book by Jia Jiang, a Chinese guy in America, and it's called Rejection Proof. And I read something recently on it, and it was basically talking about how rejection actually has a number. And he spoke of one of his favorite lines from a movie, Money Never Sleeps, I think it was. And he speaks about how this youngster asks a particular investor a question and says, "What's your number?" And the guy says, "Excuse me?" And then he goes on to say, well, everyone has a number. People who gamble, I don't know why people gamble, but people who gamble, people who invest in the stock market very often have a number. And that number is that figure by which they will say, once I make this amount of money, then I'm going to leave. And so he asked this gentleman that question, and the guy responded and he said, more. That was his number. And the thing is, rejection has a number. You see, you'll only be rejected so many times, and at a certain point, you will be accepted. You will get your yes. And is it true that maybe you've been giving up too soon because of fear of rejection? One of the things I've learned and I've seen and I've studied is that some of the best-selling books, they weren't accepted by publishers first time round. In fact, one of the books that has broken records, that has really grossed so many times, was actually only accepted on about the 20th time by the publisher. And so I want to ask you, what are you afraid of? Something that Robin Williams once said in the 1 Hour Photo, he said that the things we fear the most have already happened to us. People come to me and they say, Paul, I need a job. I say, okay, well, go for that interview. Apply for that particular job. Then they say, oh, no, Paul, I'm tired of rejection. I don't want to be rejected again. And I say to them, have you been rejected before? And they say, yes. I say, well, why are you afraid of rejection if it's already happened so many times? It's not going to be a big novelty for you. And so I want to challenge you to push beyond your comfort zone by asking that question, what am I afraid of? And is it really worth being afraid of?